Hey everybody, welcome back to some more early morning barking, talking about BPD and MPD by somebody that has both. On the sofa with the doggy today, this big black furry thing there. So I've been on TikTok recently, I was looking around at some videos there, and there were lots about MPD and people who they called narcissists. And it struck me that a lot of the stuff these people were saying wasn't quite right. So with that in mind, here are my top 5 misconceptions about narcissists and people with MPD perpetuated by TikTok narcissism channels. That's a long title. I might have to cut that down. Anyway, number 1, narcissists. If you haven't, they're on the floor in front. When I look down, I'm looking at them. Number 1, narcissists are master manipulators and liars. Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it? That would be good if the desire to do something made you good at it. That would be amazing. Do you know what a legendary rock guitarist I would be if all I had to do to be a legendary rock guitarist is wish I was a legendary rock guitarist? That would be great. I mean, I'd be able to do so many other cool things as well, right? But, as much as we might want to manipulate or lie sometimes, where do you think we get the ability to do this from? Like, honestly, do you think there's a special narcissist how to manipulate people meeting? I don't know what special abilities we're thought to possess that others don't. I think if we were as good at manipulating and lying to people as we're accused of being, then my God, the power we would have. Like on a worldwide level, we'd all be Rupert Murdoch Bond villain style people. Because why stop at manipulating you? Why stop at lying to you and getting everything we want out of it? Surely we could do that with anybody, right? It makes no sense. Just because we want to do something, or because this one time we got away with something, doesn't mean we're a master of it. Doesn't mean we're any good at it at all. You could be a person with MPD who is a terrible liar, who is just completely see-through whenever they attempt to mislead people and never gets away with it. Being good at something has nothing to do with the desire to do it. And manipulating people and lying to people and controlling people is just the same as anything else. If we could really do that, my goodness, we'd be at the top of every Fortune 500 company. We'd be running the world. It's almost like a superpower that's attributed to us somehow, and I don't know where that comes from. Number 2, narcissists can't feel empathy. Oh, that's just not true. That's just not true on any level. Some people with MPD have some trouble feeling some types of empathy sometimes, would be a more accurate way to put that. It's not as buzzwordy. It doesn't look quite as good on a channel where we're the bad guy, but it's in fact the truth. You see, as with a lot of, well, all the cluster B personality disorders, MPD has 9 markers. You have to have 5 of them to qualify as having MPD, right? One of those markers is a lack of empathy. So you could have all of the markers except for that one. You could have some of them except for that one. You don't have to have that one at all. Having a lack of empathy is possibly an indication of MPD, but MPD is not necessarily an indication of a lack of empathy. And this is before you get onto comorbidities, right? So I have MPD, but I have BPD. And BPD comes with an overabundance of empathy. And I have that marker, but I don't have the lack of empathy marker on MPD. So I'm a narcissist with actually an amazing amount of empathy. So this idea that narcissists don't have empathy is, again, just a misleading, inaccurate thing to say. Number 3, narcissists hunt for weak people. This comes up mostly in a kind of dating, romantic relationships kind of scenario, that we're out looking for the people men looking for women in particular that can be manipulated and controlled and kept quiet and all of that sort of thing. Again, no, that's not a thing. It's possibly something that some people out there do, but attributing this to narcissistic personality disorder is just massively inaccurate. I've never done that. I've never done that. In fact, I've had instances in my dating life where I've encountered people who just seem to agree with me too easily, or change their opinion to align with mine to, and it's immediately boring and a turn off and not interesting. I like being with people who have personality and passion and strength of character, not just as for romantic relationships, but also as friends. These are much more interesting, exciting people and better to spend time with, better to get to know. This idea that we're just looking for the weak to be controlled and manipulated. I don't understand to what end we're meant to be doing that to. I don't want to control my girlfriend. I've got too much other stuff to do. It's not really narcissistic behavior. It's slightly more antisocial. It's borderline criminal. And it speaks to a much higher level of psychopathy than most people have out there. Sociopathy, that kind of thing. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but to attribute it to NPD is, again, inaccurate. Which leads me on to number 4. We don't have evil plans at all. This gets quite complicated if you're trying to fit it into a narrative of narcissists being evil people who are out there looking for people to manipulate and control and abuse. I don't know why, but that seems to be the common theme. And this idea that we hatch evil plans, that we're looking for the weak will to control. We want to destroy you for our own amusement, no less, probably. I don't know. And the truth is, we don't plan anything ahead of time. This is just coming out as it occurs, right? All of it, my entire life. I'm planning nothing. I am not that clever, See number 1 about not being good at something just because you wish you could do it, that kind of thing. I'd love to have plans. I'd love to be able to plot strategies and see where I'm going to be in 5 years and do that evil Palpatine-esque thing where, like, whatever happens, I win in some way. That would be good, wouldn't it? And all of that sort of thing. But the truth is, it's all spur of the minute. I am winging this. All of this, my entire life is 1 minute to the next. I'm not plotting anything. I have no plans for you or anybody else. I don't even have plans for me, really. It's quite an odd thing. And the problem with that is that once you get rid of this idea that everything we do is premeditated, then you have to start challenging other misconceptions, the gaslighting, the love bombing, any part of NPD that is said to be us. It starts looking rather shaky, and it doesn't, again, fit in with what people would like you to think of us for some reason. But there's no planning. There's no plotting. We don't know what's happening from 1 minute to the next, and that is true for every aspect of our lives. We're just in pain, and we're hoping we make it through the day, one way or another. This idea that we've got a playbook that we're working from is just, I don't know, it's just absurd. And that takes us to the last one. All narcissists, ... Well, no, that's just ludicrous. As we've said, 9 markers, you have to have 5. That's 126 possible combinations, and that's before you start throwing in other comorbidities, because once you just throw in BPD, I think it comes up to nearly like 47,000 possible combinations of markers. So to say that all of us do something is just nuts. It's not possible. There are traits that are more common than others, but there are none at all that are constant. There are none that we all do. There's some things that are common, like I say. You know, with a lot of us lie. There's one. There's a very common one. Do we all lie all the time? Hell no. No, not at all. Not in the least. It's just a ridiculous notion, but it makes it difficult when you're trying to just blame us for stuff. When you're trying to just paint this picture of this horrible person that guaranteed will do all this list of horrible things. And when you don't really have anything to add to the conversation, you just have to keep regurgitating this list of things that you've heard that narcissists all do, right? Well, the truth is everything's nuanced, everything's black and white. Everything's, multicolored, not black and white. Everything's shades of grey. Everything's, more to it than meets the eye. Do we all do something? Do we all do something? Do all of any group of people do something? It's a very uncomfortable notion, and one that simply isn't true. It's difficult to rebut that. It just seems fairly obvious. I didn't feel like in 2023 I would have to explain to people that not all of a group of people do something. It seems like we've kind of accepted that for a lot of other groups of society, and yet people with NPD seem to be struggling behind that one. I don't know why, but there you go. Anyway, I'm looking forward to some interesting comments. I think there's going to be a mix. I think there's going to be people who've watched me for a while, people with NPD who understand what I'm talking about and that sort of thing. And then there's going to be people who've watched a lot of the other channels, and they're going to say, no, you're wrong. You do this. You do that. And they're going to talk to me like I'm not a person. And they're going to tell me how I behave and speak as if they know everything I've ever done. That seems to be a common thing. And I'm just starting to wonder, how is this healthy for anyone, really? Where does this get any of us? It's not helping me, and I don't think it's helping the people who are angry at me either. Just something to think about, I suppose. Anyway, if you want more stuff, please support the channel. Please support the channel. Gosh, oh, how desperate I need to be people to support the channel. If you want to pop on over to patreon.com/earlymorningbarking, you'll find a nice little subscription there, and a higher price subscription if you want my Living with BPD course, parts 1 and 2 out now. Part 3 coming before the end of this week, all about favorite people and romantic obsession, that sort of thing. We've also got some channel memberships here on YouTube, and you can get my you can book one-to-one sessions over at earlymorningbarking.com. We'll talk some BPD, do a bit of BPD post-therapy coaching, see what we can help you out with, see if I can give you any advice and that sort of thing. It'd be great to help you out as much as I can. So you take care, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.